Hello, welcome to my first ever Substack where I film myself. That noise you can hear in the background is actually my dishwasher. It's on. That's the reality of life. I'm doing the dishes while I record this. So let's get into it. So, post number 20. It's me being sassy, scarce, and unapologetically me. Right? So let's get into it. Ring, ring, ring. That's my phone doing its thing. And guess what? I'm not picking up. There is something incredibly satisfying about letting it just ring. After a lifetime of feeling like I had to be available 24/7, I now just glance at the screen to see who it is and let it slide to a voice note. And that, in some case, goes to voicemail oblivion. Now, I've learned that not every call needs to be answered immediately. Not every call deserves an immediate answer. And not every text demands a quick reply either. This is a deliberate act of self-care in this perimenopausal chapter of life that I'm going through. I mean, there was a time I'd react instantly to every ping, churning out responses like I was streaming content on demand, as if I was some Netflix hot release or something. But that frantic pace that fueled my anxiety and just kept me anxious all the time. So now I've discovered the sweet relief of letting things be. Ah, sweet life, in my Frank Ocean voice. My new strategy is simple. It's just to make myself so scarce that anyone who used to take my time for granted or take me for granted would truly feel the absence. And this is not like a vendetta against anyone. No, no, no. It's very much about protecting my energy. I'm no longer on endless demand on service. I'm more like a limited edition drop, kind of like Supreme Gear that had these millennials in a chokehold back in the late 2000s. When you want a piece of me, you're going to have to wait. Between convincing myself that this break in work or project isn't a sign of failure and realizing that my small talk reserves are dangerously low, I'm turning a bit more inward. I need to spend some time to figure out what's wrong, what's off, and how I can fix it, how I can fix me. Otherwise, I will end up feeling like a helium balloon drifting aimlessly and overwhelmed. Pause. I used to be the go-to person for instant fixes and creative ideas. Like, even if no one sent for me, I'll be there somewhere in the background shooting my hand up in the air like a know-it-all schoolgirl who wanted the teacher to pick her to answer a question. But now, I've learned I need to secure my own life jacket before I can throw one to others. Those air safety rules have a point. For years, my African brain couldn't articulate why one wouldn't help their child before they help themselves, as the air stewardess has always and stewards have always advised. But there is no drawing from an empty well. Sure, some people just want my company, and that's not bad. That's not wrong. But the truth is, if the energy is not reciprocal, you get the gist. If it's just take, then please miss me like Brandy, Chaka, Gladys, and Tamia. Sidebar. If you don't get that reference, I don't know what you're doing listening to my Substack. It's not for you. Move on. The other day, I caught myself staring at my reflection, taking in every line, every wrinkle, every under eye bag, each a battle scar of life. This thing called aging, it comes for us all. Even though we should consider ourselves lucky. I constantly wonder, why I feel stuck. Why am I stuck? Why others seem to be zooming ahead. And as much as I know you shouldn't compare your life with other people, I'm fucking only human. That's what I do. I keep on thinking, what choices have led me here? While the questions multiply, the answers are quite a few. I've listened to countless podcasts, attended lecture after lecture on pivoting, and tried every trick in the book. Okay, let's say most tricks in the book. Yet sometimes it feels like I'm sinking in quicksand. Like the harder I struggle, the deeper I get pulled. And my mind, picture it a battlefield of like thoughts where everything shouts, try this, or maybe that. It's not exactly a smooth harmony of thoughts. It's pure chaos most of the times. It's pure chaotic noise. However, I refuse to believe at 46, 45, and a couple of days to 46 that I am all washed up. I'm still here. I'm still fighting. I'm still figuring things out. One missed call at a time. Fuck the system, man. This ageist, sexist, and racist horse it rode on. Fuck it. I am a creative being. I am smart and I'm intelligent. And I'm just still figuring it out, and that's all okay. Speaking of things being sexist and racist, can we all stop the kerfuffle around International Women's Day? Yeah, controversial, I know. But it's a farce if you ask me. It's one big scam. I'm a woman, 365 days, sometimes 366 days a year. And for one day a year, it's all these noise, all these like themes or buzzwords or like things that go with it. Like, and even with that, the intersectionalities that come with being a woman are never addressed. So for one day, we should all unite when not all females go through the same thing or even looked at through the same lens. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. For me, it's laughable. And before you bite my head off, let's be honest. Majority of women ain't trying to help nobody outside their circle. And that's facts. Facts. Words like sisterhood and empowerment are thrown around, but when it comes down to it, outside of our immediate social circles, most women aren't exactly out here building each other up. And that's not just my perception. Mm-mm. It's my lived experience. It's my lived reality since I had a career, since my career started. I can count on one hand the number of female bosses that I have had, seniors that I have had who were not threatened by me, who actually supported me rather than subtly or overtly worked against me. The same goes for colleagues, man. Meanwhile, I've had more male bosses champion my growth without feeling the need to undercut me. And I know I'm not the only one who sees this pattern. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't the sexiest woman in the room. I've dressed for me as long as I've dressed myself. And I've been told by my dear husband, my style can be man repelling. Sidebar, does anybody remember Leandra Medine and the Man Repeller blog? Is that too far back? But my hard work has always been acknowledged. I never once experienced any sexist behavior personally. So this is why International Women's Day, and all the performative, pink-washed empowerment campaigns do not resonate with me. They are built on an ideal that doesn't just reflect my reality. Women are not naturally inclined to support each other. We are, more often than not, at each other's biggest competitions. And honestly, I think this goes back to like caveman days. It goes back all the way to evolutionary psychology. In those caveman times, women had to compete for resources, security, and status. And the competitive instinct has not magically disappeared. Now, if you think I'm being cynical, science has got your back on this one. Research reveals that women's sometimes less than supportive behavior isn't merely a figment of my collective imagination, of our collective imagination. No. For instance, studies have documented the queen bee syndrome, where women in leadership positions distance themselves or actively block the advancement of their female peers to avoid backlash, as noted by Dirks, Elmers, and Van Laar in 2007. And as if that wasn't enough, yeah, black women, this is for you. Research on women of color, this is for you. Research on intersexual competition indicates that women often resort to indirect aggression, think gossip, social exclusion, and subtle undermining instead of direct confrontation, creating an environment where genuine support is hard to come by. And this was highlighted by Crick and Grotpeter in 1995. Every major issue I faced in my adult life, whether at work, in friendships, or the tax man, or just in social settings, has involved another woman. And I know I'm not alone in this. How many of you have experienced that sinking realization that the person throwing a wrench in your career, blocking and knocking your confidence or your plans was another woman? I rest my case. Court adjourned. But here's the thing, we're not ready to have this conversation. To my Oyibo sisters, this one is for you. You guys love to romanticize the suffragettes, but let's cut through the skewed nostalgia. These women weren't exactly campaigning for every single woman. No, ma'am. They were fighting for their own. That's you guys. And they left many women of color at the door. Up until the 1990s, most feminine movements did not give a rat's ass about women of color. And sought to kill the illusion. Now, let those scales drop from your eyes. I say that while I spit on myself. These same brand of selective feminism is still kicking around. Like modern day empowerment can sometimes feel like a VIP club where the gatekeepers, often the same white women who are preaching inclusivity, decide who gets a seat at the table. Black women, now this part is really for you. Research on intersectionality, like Kimberly Crenshaw's groundbreaking work, mapping the margins, intersectionality, identity politics, and violence against women of color, shows that ignoring the diverse experiences of all women only serve to reinforce the old power dynamics. And this point was echoed by Bell Hooks. I love that name. I love this woman. You guys look her up. Bell Hooks and her work, Feminism is for Everybody, Passionate Politics, which was published in 2000, just 5 years ago. Sadly, Bell Hooks died in 2021, a year after this was published. So we're not going to get any more work from her, but you need to go and do some research on Bell Hooks' work. The first piece of work she did on feminism and intersectionality came out in 1984, I believe, and she continued in that path for the rest of her life. And yes, things have changed and the dial has been moved slightly, but there's still a huge amount of work to be done. I experienced this firsthand when I was let go from my last job, and I ended up on a panel with three white women in front of me. It was crazy. Now I think about it in retrospect. While they claim not to be intimidated by me, I swear I had them all on the defensive. Guys, I treated it like it was a fashion show. I was like, if I was gonna go down, I'm gonna go down looking fabulous and fighting. And this is a pattern as predictable as an 80s hit laced with synth, and more synth. And though this stung so bad at the time, I can now laugh at the absurdity of it all while pushing for real change. And this was a company that had D&I, well, that doesn't matter anymore, that had inclusion as a key pillar of the brand. Inclusion. They kept on talking about women. And all the other women who looked like me, they worked on the shop floor. I was the most senior person of color in Europe at the time. So before you think it or ask it, am I perfect? Hell no. Judge Judy over here, or Judge Ari, I'm just a judger. But I can also be the judge, jury, and the executioner in most cases, I must admit. I'm a walking contradiction most of the time. But every day, I strive to uplift and support fellow women because let's face it, genuine support is rare. I'm lucky to have a few ride or die souls in my corner, true sisters who stand by me no matter what. So big up yourself, bitches. You know who you are. Huh. I'm lucky, but not many people have that. Moving on. On a much lighter note, before I mic drop, can we just discuss the cores or talks, as these Gen Zs call them? Too many trends, too little time. Seriously, blink, and there's a new core to keep up with. In the past year alone, TikTok's gone from one talk to another. It's like a never ending playlist of bizarre aesthetics. Vanilla core, mobboy core, fetish core, scandy core. What the fuck is that even? And don't even get me started on brat core. You know, can we just let these be kids already? Why does everything need to be labeled as a trendy core? Every day is a new fad. Each one taking over before actually I can fully process it. Yes, I know it's given old. I know, I know. However, while we allow the algorithm to keep feeding us new content, like we're also part of a circus, which we really are, if you think about it. But can you imagine what this is doing to the kids? My favorite one right now is a joke. It's messy core. Like, wait, since when is chaotic? I haven't cleaned my room. I have a messy sink. A statement. I really feel sorry for these kids. They can't even catch a break. It is so tough to find authenticity when the whole world is running a race after race to become someone else. How can they even be themselves when they're constantly chasing the next big trend? Someone please take me back to simpler times. Where is Dr. Emmett Brown and Marty the Fly when you need them? Oh, I know. They're back to the future somewhere. Lots of love, Ari. P.S. Sidebar, sidebar, sidebar. I'm so happy for my girl Riri. If you know, you know. I'm too happy, in fact. And this is how I'm waiting on R9. Oh, and by the way, fuck the system. Thanks to Jennifer Esposito for that one. I start saying that a lot. Fuck the system. Thank you. Till next time.